We are privileged to have with us today Mrs. Sonal Goel, our own alum, as the chief guest. She has dedicated over 16 years to public service, exemplifying integrity and excellence in governance. Her journey from these very classrooms to the corridors of policy making will definitely serve as an inspiration for all our students. Her insights and experiences will add immense value to today's discussions, and we are eagerly looking forward to her address. May this conclave be an enriching experience for all, particularly my young GBO students.
Now, I would like to request our chief guest, IAS Sonal Goel ma'am, to please take over the stage and speak upon the topic, Inspire, Innovate and Lead, the role of youth in scripting the nation's growth. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar and a very pleasant, warm good morning to everyone. How are you all feeling? Let me ask you first. How are you all feeling? Excited, happy? And when we see these two words, 2-5, it's indeed a great feeling for the students who are associated with this course. And students, let me tell you, when I was in my days of SRCC, this course was just introduced. So I have been a witness of initial years of how Global Business Operations program was being introduced in our esteemed college. And one of my friends, one of my school friends, she took admission in GBO. So she was one of the very early batches of the GBO. And now she is working in corporate sector at a very good profile. It is indeed a proud, privilege, honor. And I actually have no words to express how do I feel right now? Because this is the same institution to whom I owe a lot, who has actually helped in shaping my journey, in shaping what I am today. So my gratitude to respected principal ma'am, Professor Simrit Kaur ji, for giving me this opportunity of being present amongst all of you. I have visited college, the esteemed college earlier also, but every time I visit, I am reminded of my old days. But I still feel young whenever I visit my college, that yes, this is the place I belong to and I have to keep coming. This is one thing I always feel, I should come more often. Heartiest congratulations to Dr. Misha Goel, the professor in charge, the coordinator for the GBO, whose leadership, whose mentorship has led this course achieve so much of height. And we all know this is, when we talk about management, when we talk about the specialization in management, when we talk about post-graduation, this is in fact one of the courses being recognized not only nationally but also internationally. So congratulations to the entire team of all the professors, all the guest faculties, and of course the students who have put in that kind of effort to give it that kind of a name and popularity. Just to begin with, friends, the theme which has been chosen is how do we localize, how do we have the local global convergence, and how do we redefine the business for tomorrow. That is indeed very, very important, because when we are talking about India becoming a Viksit Bharat, when we are talking about India becoming a global superpower, there is no denial of the fact that every educational institution, every higher education institution, every youth of this country, every individual in his or her own capacity, they have to contribute towards scripting nation's growth story. So therefore, the sub-theme, when the students were interacting with me, they asked me that, ma'am, would you like to speak directly on the topic, or is there a sub-theme which you would like to discuss? So friends, I am not an expert in business. As you will understand, I have been in public service all like my 15-16 years. Yes, I know a bit about the corporate sector and I have been interacting off and on, but yes, I am not an expert on this. So then I thought, let me talk something which I felt that may be relevant to each one of you. That do we all want to become leaders? Shall I ask you this question? Do you all want to become leaders? Yeah? And anybody who is in the esteemed college of SRCC, he or she cannot have average ambitions, average goals. Because the environment in which we are groomed into, it actually, हमें मजबूर करता है कि हम अपनी क्षमताओं से ज्यादा कैसे सोचें और क्षमताओं से अधिक कैसे प्राप्त करें जब इस कॉलेज कैंपस में हम आते हैं. So the theme which I thought I would discuss is innovate, inspire and lead. And how do India's youth, how do you all contribute in scripting nation's growth story? Friends, we know about civil services examination. It is indeed one of the toughest examination in the country. The data says 10 lakh plus aspirants fill prelims form and the selection is in few hundreds. So जब मेरा selection हुआ, so people generally they ask you what is your educational background. So they used to ask me and I used to say I graduated from Delhi University, Shriram College of Commerce, I did my CS and I did my LLB also. The moment they would hear, oh you have graduated from SRCC, the response would come, you must have been meritorious. So given the fact that I am already an IAS officer, it does not justify that you must have been a kind of maybe कुछ average से ज़्यादा रहे होंगे, but because you graduated from SRCC, this testifies that you must have been meritorious. This is the pride which I always feel that whenever, in my CV, wherever I go, IAS officer बनना ऐसा लगता है कि आसान है, लेकिन श्रीराम कॉलेज में एडमिशन लेना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. So congratulations to you all that you are in such an esteemed institution. And day before yesterday, we have a group of civil servants. So SRCC से जो pass out हुए हैं civil servants. So उसमें there was a clip which was shared by one of the officers, one of the junior officers. This was an interaction between Mr. Sundar Pichai, the Google CEO, and Mr. Harsha Bogle. I think you must have seen that video, right? And उसमें Harsha Bogle ji asked that how much did you score in class 12? What were your score in class 12 examination? And what he answered, he said, I did not score enough to get admission into Shriram College of Commerce. So these moments, these gestures, they reflect our ability to inspire, they reflect our ability to lead, they reflect our ability to innovate. And that is why we are all here. You are all here. That how do we contribute? As Principal Ma'am very rightly said, that whatever you are doing, you have to continue your social responsibility. That is also very, very important. That how do you have local initiatives which have global vision. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam has been our guiding principle. So one earth, one family, one future. And when we talk about India becoming a global superpower, we saw how in 2023, India very proudly hosted the G20 presidency. And when we saw the G20 presidency, even the British Prime Minister, the way he appreciated the way India conducted all the summits. Or be it any platform now, be it any international forum, we are seeing how India is making its presence felt. When we, friends, now talk about how do we identify what is our potential or how do we kind of have that aim or vision, there are few things which I always like to talk to the students about. Even though I know you all must have read about it, you all must be practicing it also. That when we want to inspire, when we want to lead, so leadership does not have a specific toolkit. What is it? It is your traits. It is your behavior. It is your attitude. And you must have read about various theories of leadership. You must have read about various forms of leadership, autocratic, democratic, transactional, transformational. But then what kind of leadership you have to apply, that depends on the organization which you are working upon. And before becoming a good leader, what is the most important thing? The most important thing is, friends, realizing your own potential. Like, what is your strength or what is your weakness? And how do you minimize or reduce your weakness to leverage your strength? As a student, you must be practicing, because now if we see the scores, if we see the competitive examinations, the pattern we see, it is like crossing 90%. In my time, I graduated from Sri Ram College in 2003. And when I got admission into this college, the cutoff was exactly 90%. And friends, at that particular point of time, till that time, I was the first student from my school to get admission into Sri Ram College. I studied from DAV Public School, Pushpanjali Enclave. And thanks to my teachers, I owe a lot to my teachers in the school also, who helped me, because at that time we didn't have the culture of tuitions and coachings. It was basically your teachers who were there in the school, in the college. And in SRCC, you get that privilege, you get that opportunity that the study material which you are reading, only those professors are teaching here. I remember attending classes of Professor V.K. Singhania sir, Girish Ahuja sir. So, all these are opportunities which are given to you. And when I talk about my journey of being associated with the college and how I came into civil services, I would just like to mention that I was a student like you, and it was not, in my school days that I had this dream in my mind to be an IAS officer. No. I would say it was very, very late that I realized that I should be in civil services. I was about to complete my graduation. And it was actually one of the magazines which I read in this college. It was I used to regularly visit the library because we had some breaks during the lectures. So I used to study in my library. I was very regular visitor of the library. And in that library only, I read about civil services examinations in one of the competitive magazines. And friends, when I read about it, frankly, before that time, nobody in our family had ever discussed about civil services. And our family is a native of Haryana. My father was born in a village which is even far distant from Panipat district. And Papa did his graduation from Panipat only, and he was one of his 10 siblings. He was the only of the 10 siblings to become a chartered accountant at that time in 70s. And he valued education, and Papa then shifted to Delhi, and that is why my birth has been in Delhi and my entire education has been in Delhi only. So when I discussed this about civil services, so in family nobody agreed, including my parents, because a lot of apprehensions came in that why civil services, this is very risky, there is no short guarantee that you will qualify. And at that time, actually, I was also doing CS, Company Secretary's course. And my 2 stages were complete. Only the last stage, which is the final examination, that was actually left out. So this discussion kept on going, and it took me almost 5 to 6 months to convince. And then my father said, okay, if you want to do, you do. We will support you. But he also said it's a big risk in life and you should have a plan B in your career. So by plan B, Papa said ki if you are not able to clear civil services, then what will you do? Say, for example, investing 2 to 3 years in your studies. If you are not able to make it, then what will you do? That should be some plan. So I took his advice. So my graduation was complete in 2003. 2004 June examination, I completed my CS. And from that year, friends, I appeared for my LLB entrance from Delhi University. I took admission into LLB, Law Faculty of Law. I started my part-time job as a company secretary because I felt that now I am professionally qualified, so I should finance my higher studies also to an extent, if not fully, and kind of gain some exposure also. So I started my part-time job, and of course my focus was on civil services preparation. So primarily from 2004, maybe you can say mid of 2004 till my selection, which was in, my result came in May 2008. So these three things were moving parallel in my life. So focus on civil services, my job, my classes for LLB, and in LLB we have semester system. So every 6 months I needed to give examination for my LLB also, which by God's grace, I think, because of my maybe strategy, maybe because of my hard work, I could do. But yes, my selection in civil services was not in the first attempt. So this is also another thing which I would like to tell the students, that even if I had been meritorious, even if I had been like above average, but I flunked. And civil services mein flunk karna ka percentage is very, very high. Because the selection percentage is not even 1 out of the total candidates who appear. So when I wrote prelims, I wrote mains, I did not get an interview call in my first attempt. I was definitely very much demotivated, because you definitely give your efforts and you do not foresee that, oh, you will fail. So, but then when my mark sheet were released, I saw that my score in the mains examination was very low in the general studies, because of which I could not get an interview call. So then what I did was that I reworked on my strategy, and because I had been a commerce student, so my optionals were commerce and public administration. I was quite comfortable in those subjects. So I devoted more time to solidify my concepts in the general studies. Because 10th के बाद मैंने कभी पढ़ा भी नहीं था, frankly, history, geography, polity मैंने पढ़ा भी नहीं था. और मैं ऐसी भी स्टूडेंट नहीं रही थी कि जिसको स्कूल के टाइम से या कॉलेज के फर्स्ट ईयर से माइंड में था कि सिविल सर्विसेज में जाना है. सो एक्चुअली टाइम वॉज वेरी शॉर्ट. सो जितना मुझे टाइम मिला तो उसमें मैंने पूरा कोर्स कंप्लीट करने का कोशिश किया. इस वजह से शायद मेरा जीएस पे उतना ध्यान में नहीं दे पाई थी. सो देन व्हेन आई appeared for my second attempt, I wrote prelims, I wrote mains, and I got an interview call. I got selected, and when my mark sheet was released, so my marks in general studies were higher and much, much higher than my optional subject. So that also gave me a kind of, happiness and solace that yes, when you learn from your mistakes, when you learn from your failures, and you do work diligently on them, you can definitely improvise. So therefore, friends, why I am discussing these short examples from my journey is that I have been a student like you. There is no miracle to be in civil services. There is no miracle, to become a doctor, to become a senior professional in the corporate sector, or to become a principal of a college. What is important is that your efforts have to be consistent. Your efforts have to be consistent. You have to have your clarity and vision in your goals. That what is it that you want to achieve? And nowadays, if we compare the opportunities which are coming up, it is very much high as if I compare it to my own time. More than 20 years back, I graduated. जितना opportunities, जितना fields आज के दिन में है हमारे पास में, इतना हमारे time में नहीं था. So it may also lead to confusion. It may also lead to, you getting swayed away by what other people are doing. You may find the other thing lucrative. But what we need is, we need to have a reality check. So therefore, there is one acronym which I always share with the students, which I have termed as VGPA. What is your vision? What is your overall vision or orientation about life? What is your goal? Goal is the achievable unit. So how do you translate your vision into the goals which you would achieve, which you have to achieve? And then how do you achieve them? It is through planning. It is through the steps. And then your action is very, very important. Your steps, they act as your stepping stone. And let failure not deter you. So in every examination, in everything which you are aspiring for, you may not get success in your first attempt. What is important is that how do we learn from failures? How do we improvise? How do we remove our mistakes? That is more important. Mr. Winston Churchill, he very well said that success is not final. Success is not final and failure is not fatal. What matters is the courage to continue. So your courage to continue will actually determine whether you reach up to your goal or not. And it may also happen that you may not be able to achieve it in your first way or in your X way, which you have thought. But then you will definitely be able to do it through your X, Y medium. So for example, students also ask me, ma'am, what was your plan B? So my plan B was very clear that if I would have not cleared civil services, I would have opted for career in the corporate sector because I was a CS, I was LLB by that time. And for satisfying my urge for giving back to the society, for public service, I would have started my own NGO for contributing towards society. So that was my plan B, which was very, very clear. So friends, everything is within us. What we need is to understand what is our requirement, and then how do we align our personal goals with the requirements of the society, with the aims and ambitions of our society. That is also very, very important. And we all have that capability of contributing. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको civils में ही जाना है. I know the percentage of civil services aspirants in this hall would be very low. It may be 10%. But जरूरी नहीं है कि आप civil services में जाएंगे तो ही आप country के लिए contribute कर सकते हैं, society के लिए contribute कर सकते हैं. You can do it through any medium you choose to. Few days back, I read about a story of Mr. Harsh Songra. Harsh Songra, now he is of course a popular youth figure. When he was in his childhood, he suffered a disease called dyspraxia. And when he suffered this disease, probably nobody in our country in the medical line, they knew much about this. So that was a kind of a disorder which affects mentally, which leads to mental retardation slowly, but then his treatment could not start properly because this was not diagnosed properly. So then what he did, but he could have definitely surrendered. He could have let it go off, but he did not do. At the age of 16, he developed an app, which is called as My Child app. Now this app is available on Android and I think on Apple also. And this app actually has features which helps the parents to detect the disorders, the mental disorders among children at an early age. So he has become an entrepreneur in his own way and see the cause which is contributing to. So these may seem small things to us, but the impact which they create in the society is very large. And his case study is being now, discussed in the ministry also, and in the Ministry of Health, in the Ministry of also the department which deals with physical and mental disabilities, So these are examples of people amongst us. I recently started a podcast called Shikhar Ka Safar, in which I have tried to invite personalities who have faced challenges in their life, who have overcome obstacles, and then who have shown their strength and resilience, and who have achieved accolades at national, international level. So one of my guests recently was Mr. Navdeep Singh. So Navdeep Singh, we all must have read about it, heard about him, seen his videos. When India got the gold in the Paralympics javelin throw. So he is from Haryana, Delhi both, and the way he narrated his story, I got so emotional. He said that when he was born and when he's actually very short-heighted. So he said ki when I used to move in the streets, I used to go to school, people used to make so much fun of me that it seems like some joker or a clown has come. कि खेलने का कोई ऐसा मिल जाता है कि मजाक कर ले इनके साथ, and then nobody used to take him seriously. But that did not deter him, and you just see his resilience. He got gold medal not only in this Olympics, उससे पहले भी उनका internationally, nationally, so many medals he has won in the Paralympics athletics events. With no resources, very humble background. What made him excel? And even when Prime Minister Sir met him, the Prime Minister Sir उनको कैप पहनाने के लिए पहले बैठे and then he recognized him. You know, this is the way our leaders give their gesture. So this is also one part of leadership, that how do you collaborate? How do you show your empathy? How do you show your compassion? That is also, friends, very, very important. And similar to Navdeep Singh is another very inspiring story of a girl, of a young girl, Miss Sheetal Devi, who again won bronze medal in the para archery, but she was born with some disease in which she does not have both arms. So there are no arms, but she is doing archery. And she is not just doing it, she is getting international recognitions from our country. And last year I visited Jammu and I got the opportunity of visiting their stadium in Katra, just near National Vaishno Devi Shrine, there, because she belongs to Jammu and Kashmir. So she's training in Jammu and I met her coach, Abhilasha ji, and I met the other players around. So I was so much delighted and I felt so small कि हमारे पास तो सब कुछ होते हुए भी we kind of take some, take some reasons of not doing things. And look at the people who, despite such kind of maybe limitations, which make these limitations their strength, who make their strength, they evolve. And now their trainer is also training a girl, Payal. She's from Odisha. She's hardly 13, 14 years of age. And she does not have both arms and both legs. No arms and no legs. And this girl definitely, I'm very, very confident that this girl will definitely now will be bringing our country the international medals. So these are, friends, very small stories, and I'm sure you must be reading the inspirational stories. And what is most important is that how do we, have the practical orientation out of these, that how do we keep ourselves motivated, how do we keep our own goals aligned with the society. And when we are talking about the redefining businesses for tomorrow, we have seen India becoming a global superpower. We are seeing Indian entrepreneurship now excelling at the international level. We are seeing unicorns. We are seeing the startups. India is ranked, I think, amongst the top 10. I think the rank is 5th or 6th last year, the survey which was released amongst the unicorns. So it is definitely very, very encouraging kind of an atmosphere. But 3-4 things are very, very important, that while we have a global vision, we need to be rooted to our roots. We need to be rooted to our origin. So having the global and local convergence, that is very, very important. The next very important term which we all read about now whenever we talk about the entrepreneurship is ESG. ESG, the ethical sustainable governance. 3-4 months back, I visited London for an international conference which was organized by Institute of Directors, IOD Global, in which the theme which was being discussed was how do we have convergence between public governance and corporate governance for redefining businesses. This was very similar theme to what we are discussing here. And there also this was repeatedly been discussed, that how do we have the ESG, the ethical sustainable governance, and how do we have this convergence. And now if we see India, there are a lot of initiatives which are being done to remodel the businesses through the digital initiatives. As part of government only, I have seen that when I joined civil services to what we have today, there's a lot of difference, especially because of the digital initiatives in the revenue, infrastructure, in the way of law and order. Now we are seeing most of the applications you can submit online, you can get your certificates. We can see the opportunities which are being given under ease of doing business. And various states now nationally, they are getting ranked under ease of doing business, EODB. And now there's a competition among the states that who will come first, who will come, first, second, third. So these digital initiatives have reduced, I would say, the physical interface, and they have promoted definitely transparency, they have promoted accountability, and they have made things much, much swifter. There was one example of UPI, which was being discussed internationally, that how India has developed this kind of an interface that even a rickshaw wala or even somebody from whom you are having your juice, you are giving money through your phone. So that was a kind of something which they wanted to learn from India. And it is not only in cities, now it is reaching the rural areas. So seeing the population which we are covering, that becomes the scale of operations very, very massive. And therein lies the beauty of what we talk about convergence. It is not only the government, it is also the private sector, it is also the society, the different organizations, different stakeholders who have to converge. So besides being global, local, besides giving attention to how do we make it ESG, how do we have the ethical sustainable development, one more important aspect is how do we make it inclusive? How do we make businesses inclusive? And friends, as a woman, whenever it comes to inclusive, the first and the most important thing which I always talk is how do we have more women becoming entrepreneurs? How do we have more women in the boardrooms? How do we have more women in the leadership profiles? More women in all sectors which we can think across. So therein comes the role of education, therein comes the role of parents, therein comes the role of the society. We are soon going to celebrate International Women's Day. And the events for the International Women's Day have already started. It is not only a celebration, I always say, it is not only a celebration of women power. It is always a reminder of the fact that yes, even today the society is not equal. Even today there are issues in which women are forced to have various kinds of injustices, whether in the domestic front, even work front, and we see so many crimes being reported every day. So, therefore, as a society, what is important is that meanwhile we are encouraging the girls to come forward, it is also very, very important for us to condition the men to maybe teach our boys at home that yes, they have to respect women. They have to treat women as equal counterpart. So coming towards the conclusion, because you have so many programs lined up, you have already short of time. I just like to conclude by, reiterating the fact that all power lies within you. Even impossible says, you must have heard, even impossible says, I am possible. So what is most important is that you understand yourself, you recognize your potential, you align your vision, you take action. And when you give your 100%, even sky is not the limit. We all know even sky is not the limit. And I would just like to conclude by a quote of former President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, whose birthplace also I visited in December. Rameshwaram, I had gone on religious trip with my family and I visited the birthplace where sir was born, and then where there is a memorial now also where sir was buried, and that place has so much of legacy, inspiration of how he started from a small place. I also visited the school wherein he had his primary education. And friends, just to share, when I was in my college, if I remember correctly, I was in my second year and sir had come to this college. And I was so much, moved, seeing his expression, seeing his humility despite being the President of India, the way he interacted with us. Those imprints I still have in my memory. So he always believed in the power of youth. And he said that with technology, with innovation, with ambition and passion for my country, with technology, innovation, ambition and passion, love for my country, I realized that I cannot have a small dream. He said, it is for the youth, that youth cannot have a small dream. So it is for all of you that yes, you belong to this country, you belong to this esteemed college of Shriram College of Commerce. You are getting so much of opportunity and you have the potential. So none of us can have small dreams. Aim high, achieve high, keep making the college, keep making the university, keep making your teachers, Be thankful to them, be grateful to them. It is also very, very important to respect your teachers, professors, to your mentors, to whoever who has supported you in your life journey, because you cannot achieve it alone. There are many people who will always be with you in your difficult times. So be grateful to them, give love to them, give support to them when they need you even more. So thank you so much. And we cannot have small aim. Dream high, achieve high. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. And I frankly have no words how I feel whenever I come back to SRCC. So I hope to see you all again very soon. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.